What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here in the winter wonderland. And as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Man, it is still snowing. It's supposed to snow through the night. It's kind of gotten light. This is kind of like the respite before the next go round. And we got about 6 inches on the ground right now. And it's cold, but it's not that bad. It's about 28 degrees. And it sure looks pretty. I have to say. Um, this house just looks so good with snow. So we got some interesting news here. I am a Dak Prescott fan. Okay, so for all those out there, feel free to say, it's your fault that we're stuck with a garbage ass quarterback and this, that, and the other. And feel free to hate Dak. That's fine. That's the great thing about being in America. Last I checked, it's okay to believe what you want to believe. And I believe that Dak Prescott would be a good enough quarterback to make the Super Bowl, especially if he was on another team that actually did things to try and help the quarterback. When I look at the Eagles and all that they did, we thought that Kellen Moore was just ass, but, he goes to a team with a great running game, great offensive line, great receivers and tight end, and lo and behold, he looks like a freaking genius and gets a new job as head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Congratulations to Kellen Moore. I have not been a big fan of Kellen Moore's, but you know what? Hey, he's a top dog right now, and we'll see how he does in New Orleans. What's going to be interesting is after having Dak Prescott and then Justin Herbert and then Jalen Hurts, it's going to be interesting to see how he does with Derek Carr. Yeah, the car crash. That's going to be really interesting. But there are a couple of my favorite players down there. DeMario Davis, a guy who I said we should have gotten. And mind you, since he left the Jets, he has not missed a game and averages about 110 tackles a year and 5 sacks. Could you imagine if we had gotten somebody like that for all of those years? But no, we drafted the Wolf Hunter instead. Be that as it may, that's a case where you look at it and say, maybe we would have been better off signing a good free agent in a position. But that's another argument for another day. So, Dak Prescott, in one of the events that he does for cancer, stand up for cancer, stand up to cancer. I'm having a brain fart. My brain must have froze here in the cold. But Dak was talking about his recovery 12 weeks after surgery, that he's taking the next step in there and that the recovery is going really good. And I believe that he's going to be ready for OTA workouts, which is fantastic. I know a lot of people have said, I've heard the guys on 105.3 fans saying, well, he may not be able to step in the throws or he won't be able to run and things like that. But last I checked, we had Tyron Smith have the same injury. You may remember that his hamstring literally got pulled off the bone too in practice when he was going downfield untouched. And he had the same surgery as Dak Prescott and actually came back that season, during the season. And the following year, believe it or not, was probably the best year he's had since about 2016. So it is conceivable to come back from it. And dare I say, for an offensive tackle, a left tackle, to have had that surgery and knowing that every play he's getting contact and it's held up. It didn't tear when he was at the Jets. He had all kinds of other injuries, but the hamstring wasn't one of them. That he should be back as a full go. Now, the good thing, or at least his excitement about Brian Schottenheimer, he seems really truly enthused. I mean, he's not going to say, oh God, this sucks, man, I can't believe we hired the guy right off the salad truck and he's going to be the coach, woe is me. No, of course he's going to say this is great, but he generally seems to be excited about him because he said he's going to be taking an old school approach, which I find kind of interesting because you would think that Mike McCarthy would have been, well, no, actually it does make sense. As in an old school approach, would be balanced and as opposed to throwing the football 65 to 70% of the time, like Mike McCarthy does. Old school approach would be kind of like what the Eagles did, where they got back to basics of being able to run the ball and do a lot of play action. And that's one of the things that, when you look at Dak Prescott and his career and the things that he's done, play action passing and moving the pocket has always been his strongest suit, along with hurry up offense. And so Dak is excited because he believes that they will be building the offense to suit what he does and does well. And we've heard that, like the quarterback coach, the guy that was just hired, and I forgot to play you guys that video. But listening to him, the way he put it is, every quarterback out there is different. There's no two that are exactly alike. Some have some things that they do better than others. And you want to find those things that they do best and put them in positions to do those things. And for me, that the best thing to do with Dak Prescott is if you have a balanced offense where you can keep teams, from basically teeing up and going after them, which is what happened the 8 games that he played this year, without having a running game. And a running game that, mind you, for whatever reason, got better when we had Cooper Rush, and maybe they realized we can't pass the ball, so we have to be able to run the ball to try and set up Cooper Rush. Instead, with Mike McCarthy, it's just like, we got Dak Prescott, we're just going to throw the football. We're not worried about being balanced. And by doing that, by passing the ball so much, that you literally let defenders just tee off and just go right up after him. In which case you see him, literally having to climb the pocket. He's having to run. He's having to duck. He's getting hit left and right. And, when you watch Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl, and he's standing back there with all day that he can survey the field, if you can give a quarterback 4 or 5 seconds, he's going to kill you. He's going to beat the hell out of you. And so that bodes well as far as the Cowboys go, at least in my mind. I know the haters out there will be, another year of Dak sucks. That Dak, he'll just choke in the playoffs. He's a bum and all that. But you know what? There's not a lot of guys that can do what those guys do. And to think, I don't know how you replace them. When I look at, Denver, well, they lucked out and they seem to have found a quarterback after years and years and years of trying to replace Peyton Manning. I mean, they ended up bringing in Russell Wilson and biting the bullet on that contract. You look at a team like Cleveland that's forever been trying to find a quarterback. They're about to bite the bullet on Deshaun Watson's big-ass contract and still don't have a quarterback to replace him. The Jets, who brought in Aaron Rodgers for the 2 years that they had him, paid him a king's ransom, and realized he's not worth jack. And, the Steelers that had Kenny Pickett, and, they brought in Russell Wilson along with, what's his name from Chicago. And they don't really have a quarterback. And for us to just say, just get rid of the bum, I'm telling you, it's a lot easier to put some talent around them to maximize what you have. But then again, what do I know? I'm a guy out here in the cold and in the snow. And just wanted to give you a little taste of what it's like out here. And we'll do a check-in before I go to bed tonight and see how much more snow we have. I need to get my tape measure out and see exactly how deep it is. But it's pretty deep. It's pretty deep. I had shoveled the driveway here and the sidewalk, and they plowed the road over here a couple of times, and it's still covered. Look, so you can see how much is right there. And I shoveled this several times, so it's a good, maybe it might be about 7 inches in here, but definitely a winter wonderland. The white looks so good against the house. Oh, it looks good against it. Alrighty, people, I'm gonna go inside and warm back up. Peace.